everybody, I'm Chef Ben. This is Dinner with Ben, episode 14. And today we are making Dhal, which is like a lentil curry, essentially. So we'll just give it a few minutes for some more people to get here, and then we will jump in. Thanks for joining me. I took last week off, which was nice Thanksgiving. I hope you guys all had a nice Thanksgiving as well. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to tonight because Dhal is one of my favorite, one of my probably all-time favorite dishes, and definitely one of my all-time favorite curries. So I'm really excited about it. I hope you're excited about it too. Hello, Sue. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, so I'm really excited to make some Dhal, and we're going to make some hummus as well, which I'm excited for. So yeah, we're just going to give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll jump right in. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get the rice going. Might as well get that out of the way. So, in this pot, I have 1 cup of just regular old basmati rice. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of water. Now, Sue, you probably noticed that I'm using a dry measure to measure my liquid. The reason being that when you do rice, you want the exact same volume. So I always use the same measuring vessel, I guess, for the rice and for the liquid, and that way you get the right amount. Because just because this is a cup and something else is a cup doesn't mean it's all a cup. So I'm just going to bring that to a boil. Put some salt and pepper in here. And a tablespoon or so of olive oil. Hey, Steve. I'm just glad you're here, Sue. That's all that matters. Hello, Steve. How are you today? So all I've done is I just put some rice on. It's just basmati rice. 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. And we're just going to let that come to the boil. Sue asks if you need to soak your rice because she usually does. No, you definitely don't need to. Yeah, it'd probably cut down the cooking time a little bit, but there's no need for it. You can rinse it, but that's okay. Well, Steve, I hope you're going to relax and enjoy the show. Put your feet up. Hope everything's going well. Okay, I'm going to start slicing and dicing. We'll get into this. Pull my knife off my beautiful knife rack. Okay, so the rice is just going to come to a boil. And I should say, this is Dinner with Ben, episode 14. Today we are making Dhal and hummus. This is brought to you by Ashworks Cutting Boards and Tea North Carbonated Iced Tea. I'm super happy to be here. Again, I'm super excited for this dish. I hope you are too. Okay, first things first, we're going to dice an onion. Take the top off. Leave the bottom on. Right down through the center. And we're going to peel it. Just like so. Thank you, Steve. Steve says I have a nice rack. We're going to peel. I'm doing a very bad job peeling this onion. Get this out of the way. Okay, so onion's still intact. The root is still on. Fingers up. Again, onion is still completely intact. So the trick is really just keeping that root on there and not cutting all the way, like all the way through this way, right? Cut down to the board, but leave that root intact. That's the trick. Half an onion done. And again, I'm not putting pressure down on the onion. I'm just holding it in place. So with this, we want to get kind of all of our vegetables done and ready to go before we start cooking. Because once we start, it's all gonna come together pretty quick. So we want to have all of our stuff ready. Hello, Patrick. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you. Compost. I always move it. Okay, so we're gonna go 1 onion. That was a fairly small onion, but it's still gonna be enough. My rice is starting to boil, so I'm gonna throw a lid on here. Temperature down to low. 17-minute timer. Okay. So next, we're gonna take 1 carrot. Okay. Hello, Ruby. Nice to see you. Hello, Michelin. So, just peeling the carrots. Almost dropped it. So, again, if you guys don't know what dal is, I'm really excited for you to see this. So, it's essentially like an Indian lentil curry, and it's really, really delicious. So, if you're interested at all in making curry, the kind of base that you're going to see here is the base for most curries. So if you figure this out, you can pretty much do everything. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Connie. Hello, Mish. How's everybody doing? Thanks for coming. So the key, we're going to dice these carrots about the same size as the onion, which is pretty small. And the key here is just to cut these into manageable size pieces. If I'm trying to cut this whole carrot, it's going to get out of my hands, it's going to get out of control. So we cut to manageable size pieces, we make a flat edge, and then we flatten the carrot, and then even size slices, just like that. And then again, manageable. If I stack all these, they're going to slide around, so I'm just doing 2 at once. Yeah, I love curry too, and this really is one of my favorites. So, just throwing carrots around. So all I did was cut that into sticks. Now we rotate it. And then we have evenly diced carrots. And they're the same size as the onions. It's really important that all these vegetables are the same size. Because if they're not all going to cook at the same amount of time. And this isn't the kind of thing where we want like really big chunks of anything. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but that's not really what I'm looking for here. So we cut, do the same thing. Again, cut a flat edge, then flatten the carrot. Whoa. My finger slipped a little there. It was just the carrot, it scared me. I thought I was going to cut my finger off on live Facebook, but I didn't. And you know what? Everybody cuts themselves sometimes, and that's just part of it. It's not pleasant, but it's also not the end of the world. Okay, so again, no matter what you're dicing, always try and make a flat edge so that it's easier to dice, so that things don't slide around as much. Just like this. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to saute our vegetables, which is just carrot, onion, and celery. Then we're going to add tomato paste. We're going to cook the tomato paste to draw out the sweetness of it a little bit and to take a little bit of the bitterness away. And then to that we'll add our spices and we'll saute those as well. We might actually do that reverse. We'll do the spices first and then cook the tomato paste in. Then we'll add our lentils and our water and then we'll cook it all down. And it's only going to take about 20 minutes. It's going to be super delicious. You can soak your lentils, but you really don't need to. I find that when you soak them, they end up just getting really mushy, so I prefer not to. But I do suggest kind of picking through them. I already picked through these, but you just want to remove anything that looks kind of gross, really. If you see a lentil that looks kind of moldy, pick it out. If you see a rock in there, pick it out, because you definitely don't want to bite into a rock or a moldy lentil. Okay, carrots are done, onions are done, and we're just going to take 1 celery stalk. Now, celery, same thing, cut into manageable size pieces, cut it down the middle, and then cut it in half again, and same thing. Same size as the carrots and the onions, right? And I know I've said this before, but I might as well explain knife technique again. I always hold the knife in a pinched grip between my thumb and my index finger on the blade, and then I wrap my fingers around. I'm not squeezing it, I'm just holding it firmly. My other fingers are curled back, so the knife is always in contact with my fingers, and that means if the knife is always in contact with my fingers, I know where the blade is, right? So if my fingers are way back here and the knife's here and something distracts me and the knife slips, I'm more likely to cut myself because I don't know where the blade is. But this way, I always know where the blade is, and my thumb is behind, my fingers are curled back. So chances are if I cut myself, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to nick that knuckle, which isn't really that bad. Okay, so we have our veg done. Next thing we want to do is measure out all of our spices, and we need to chop up our onions and or garlic and ginger too. So let's do the, might as well finish chopping first, excuse me. So I'm going to take a piece of ginger, that end's kind of dry, so I'm just going to slice that off. I'm just going to peel this using a spoon. It's the easiest way to do this. You get the least amount of waste out of it this way, which is always good. And I've said this before, but when you buy ginger, two things. You don't need to buy the whole root. You can just break a piece off like that size if you want and buy that, because it's sold by the pound. Or if you want to buy more, you can freeze it, skin and all. And then when you're ready to use it, just, this will work. Get one of these, pop the ginger out of the freezer, grate it, skin on. Skin has tons of flavor and you're grating it so fine it doesn't matter. And then what you didn't use, you just pop back in the freezer. And it'll stay like that for a very, very long time. But I bought this fresh today. So again, just peel, peel, peel. And I know this seems weird, but this is by far the easiest way to peel ginger and save as much of the fat, which there's no point in wasting. Okay, same thing, manageable sized pieces, and then we'll slice julienne. So the sticks, like a matchstick, that's a julienne. And then we rotate it, and then we mince. Just like that, super fine. And I think the recipe is only about a tablespoon of ginger, which is about that much, but I like a lot of ginger, so I'm going to put more in here. Oh, and I should say too, I haven't done it yet, but I am working on getting all the recipes from all the Dinner with Bens up on my website. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll get that done. And all of the episodes are actually on YouTube now as well, if you ever want to go back and watch an episode. They're cut down a little bit, so all the kind of stuff at the beginning and end, well, I'm just waiting for people to get here, that's all cut out. So we chop, we chop, we chop, and again, one more time. Okay. And we're going to keep that separate from our vegetables, because we're going to add those at different times. And now we're going to take 2 cloves of garlic. Just going to cut the root end off, just that bottom part. You can leave the top on. And we're going to crush. Okay, and then the peel just comes right away, just like that. Get rid of this stuff. And now you guys have probably all seen this at this point, but I'm just going to chop this up. Very roughly, you know. You just want relatively small pieces. Take a nice big pinch of salt. Flat edge of my knife flat against the cutting board. Use the salt as an abrasive. Yeah. And then just like that. Beautiful pureed garlic. Okay? Get in your carrot. Perfect. Okay, so that's all of our slice and dice for this stuff. Let's measure out the spices. And then we can start cooking. I'm just going to put everything in here. And I am going to have to read these off my sheet. So we have cumin. Actually, let's start at the, yeah, that is the top. So we're going to go 1 teaspoon of cumin. And I mean, you can sit here and go like this and like really get the specific, but it totally does not matter. If you put a little more spice in here, a little bit of one thing or the other thing, it doesn't matter. It's just going to taste a little bit more. If you want it to have bigger flavors, just add more spice. That's the thing with curry and most cooking in general, is it's not a science, it's just what you want. Just throw in a little bit more, a little bit less, that's up to you. That's really nice. Alicia Pillion says she and her family watched the show on the big screen, and I'm becoming a family favorite. I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you very much, Alicia. Okay, see, I'm not shearing it off. So 1 heaping teaspoon. We're gonna go same of coriander. They tricked me. So again, if you get a little bit more or a little bit less, doesn't matter at all. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit of cayenne here. This is actually Kashmiri chili. I'm going to put a full teaspoon in here. I would recommend going a little easier. This stuff is a little different than regular chili powder. This is from Kashmir, obviously, Kashmiri chilies. And it's spicy, but it's a different spice. It kind of hits you in the back of your throat, so when you eat it, it's like, but it's really, really tasty. So we get that in there. We're going to add a bit of cardamom. And we are going to need how much cardamom? 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, so again, I'm not even using the 1/4 teaspoon. I'm just using the teaspoon and only filling it 1/4. Turmeric, very, very good for you. Very, very delicious. 1 teaspoon of that. Now, turmeric is something you actually want to be a little careful with because it can be very bitter if you use too much. But you know, it's not the end of the world if you add a little extra. So clean that off, and now we need 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Again, cinnamon is kind of like turmeric where you don't want to use too much of it, but that's okay. Now, did I get everything? Cumin, coriander, turmeric, cinnamon, cardamom, cayenne. Nailed it. We're going to add some salt and pepper in here as well. Okay, the only thing we need to do is open up tomato paste, and then we're good to cook. Okay, so that's open. Just going to put this on about a medium heat, and we're going to let that heat up for a second. Hello, wife. My wife just got here. Is there somebody else here? Oh. And our cat. My wife just got home from work. So I'm going to put about 2 generous tablespoons of olive oil. That looked like a lot, but this does not pour very well. This is a different kind of olive oil than we usually get. But it tastes pretty good. It's a little bitter. It's not as good as the other stuff, but it's not as bad as most grocery store stuff. I think we got that at Costco. Yeah, I got it at Costco. So that should be pretty warm. I'm just going to drop these in here. Usually when you're sauteing vegetables, you want your pan hot before you put stuff in. But we're not really too worried about sauteing these. We're more trying to sweat them. So what that means is that we're trying to pull liquid out of them. When you're sauteing, you want your pan to be hot enough that any liquid that's coming out is evaporating. Here, we actually want that liquid to come into the pan, and it's going to kind of add flavor, and it's going to help us when we saute our spices as well. Cool. So we have carrots, onions, and celery in here. In French cooking, this is called mirepoix. 2 parts onion to 1 part carrot, 1 part celery. Doesn't really have a name in Indian cooking that I'm aware of. In Indian cooking, there's, in almost every cooking, any kind of culinary tradition in the world has something called a Holy Trinity. In French cooking, it's this. In Italian cooking, it's sofrito, which is like onion, celery, and garlic. In Indian cooking, it's actually chili, garlic, and ginger. So that's kind of their magic blend. So once we kind of sweat these down, we're going to add the chili and garlic in there, or the garlic and ginger, to give the chili in powder form, so that'll go in a few minutes. And I don't think you'll be able to see this, but there is liquid coming out of the veg. You probably can't see that, but that's what I mean by sweating. So it's not on a super high heat. We're not trying to saute it. We're just trying to pull liquid out of it a little bit and cook the onions a bit as well. Okay, and our rice is done. Hard to believe that was 17 minutes, but it was. So pretty much as soon as the onions start to turn translucent, that's when we can add the onion or the garlic and the ginger. Okay, so it really doesn't take long because they're chopped so fine, and they're pretty much there now. So now I'm going to add the garlic and the ginger, and this is going to make the house start to smell really, really good.
Confirmed already.
Which my wife just confirmed. Okay, so we want to stir all that in, and because the ginger and the garlic are so finely chopped or pureed, they're not going to take long to cook, and we really don't want them to burn. So it's important that you watch it, and really it's only going to take about a minute, minute and a half before those flavors start to release, which is all we're looking for. And then we can add our spices. We'll cook those for a minute or two, and then we'll add our chili, or our tomato paste rather. Now, I would recommend before adding the spices to add a bit more oil. You do not want the pan to be almost dry, because if it is, the spices are just going to stick to the bottom. So I always add a bit of extra oil right before I add the spices in. Perfect. And there's a good coating of oil on the bottom of the pan. It's probably 2 millimeters thick, so that's plenty. And that's just enough so the spices aren't going to burn to the bottom. Okay, so we're going to throw all these in here. And what we're doing is called opening up the spices. We're drawing the natural oils out of them, and that's going to add a ton of flavor. If we just threw these spices into water or whatever, you're not going to get the same flavor that you do. And that's what a lot of people miss when they're making curries. That's why you don't get that really strong flavor. Or why you have to add so much spice. Oh, it smells so good. And hopefully you can see the colors in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. Oh no, your onions aren't finished. It shouldn't take much longer. Yeah, just take your time with it, and if you need me to slow down or if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. I don't mind waiting. So with the spices, you absolutely do not want them to burn. Cinnamon gets super bitter when it burns. I mean, most things do, and cinnamon especially. So as soon as it becomes very aromatic, that's when we're going to add our tomato paste in there, which it's doing now. It doesn't take long. I'm just going to add 2 big tablespoons in there. Stir that in. And as you stir, make sure you scrape the bottom of your pot so that you're pulling up all those spices. Because if you let them stick, they're just going to burn on you. And the tomato paste doesn't need long. And if you need to, turn the heat down a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to add a touch of water in here. Just about a tablespoon, just to kind of loosen up the bottom. That's what we call deglazing, but it's because some of the spices, a little bit of the tomato stuck to the bottom. So I just want to loosen that up, but I want to continue to coat the tomato paste. So I'm going to scrape all of the stuff off the bottom, and then we're going to go back over the heat. Okay, so as you can see, it's like a nice thick paste, so we're just going to cook that out for another minute or 2. And really the way to tell that the tomato paste is done is by tasting, smelling, and by looking. Again, we're trying to draw the natural sweetness out of tomato paste. A lot of people will just add sugar to stuff like this. A lot of curries have sugar in them. But if you caramelize the tomato paste properly, you don't really need to add the sugar. If you caramelize the onions, the tomato paste, you're drawing the natural sugars out of those ingredients, then you're set. You don't need to add any artificial sweeteners. So this smells amazing. The color is like this deep red and it's starting to get a little darker. Hello, Sean. What's that, Sue? Well, Sue asks how spicy is the recipe. You can make it as spicy or as non-spicy as you want. I put in a whole teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder, so it's going to be spicy for me. But, I mean, if you want to add no cayenne at all, then don't. That's completely up to you. Okay, so you can kind of see what's going on in there. Nice and bright. Has a slight sweetness. It's beautiful. So now I'm going to add 1 cup of green lentils. Okay? And I'm just going to stir those in. And I'm going to add 1 liter of water, so 4 cups. Okay, I'm just going to stir that all together. Make sure you scrape it to the sides and the bottom. If you have anything stuck to the bottom, it's going to burn and kind of ruin the flavor here. And it's going to look really, I was going to say it's going to look super soupy. It's going to look really soupy to start, but as the lentils cook, they're going to absorb a lot of that liquid, and they're going to expand, and it's going to get pretty thick. It's going to be really delicious. Sean, my brother-in-law, just said, I love that you're not scrawny, can't trust a skinny cook. I guess that's his way of calling me fat. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it, bud. My wife's laughing in the background because she knows it's true. Okay, so dal is on. This is going to take about 20 minutes to simmer. In the meantime, we're going to make some hummus. Okay? Be quiet. She's laughing a little too hard over there, if you ask me.
No, I was laughing you saying hummus this time.
Okay. Chickpeas. So we're just going to open these up and drain them off. Now, the liquid that comes out of here, I think I've said this before, but I've never really showed you. Oh, the poles. So, I have a little bit of time waiting for the dal, so I'm going to show you something really cool. Not covered. The pot is, I'm just letting it simmer on a medium heat, uncovered. So, all I put in here was the liquid from the chickpeas. Yeah, the lentils. So if you whip this up, you can already see it's kind of foaming, turning white. This actually makes a good substitute for egg whites. You can use this to make mayonnaise, like a vegan mayonnaise. I've heard of people using it in cakes and stuff like that, though I've never done it. But it whips up just like egg whites. What?
Make hummus?
Yeah. What are you doing? See? So if you have a vegan friend or you just want to eat a little bit healthier, you can use the liquid from chickpeas or black beans or any kind of canned legume to make pretty much anything with eggs in it. Okay? Now let's make some hummus. What? What? It was,
I thought you were making hummus with a whisk, and I was like, no one's going to do that.
My wife is just over there doubting me. That's okay. What's new? Huh? Okay, so I'm going to use food processor to make some hummus because it's way easier than mashing the chickpeas by hand. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. But it is not what I want to do. Okay. Okay. So, what we're going to do... Thanks, Steve. Steve says this is a nice machine. I just got this from KitchenAid last week. It is nice. There is one design flaw that I don't like, is that this thing pops out if you open this too quickly, which my wife seems to have a problem with, and she's already broken it. Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I really like it. Why would I decide to pair Indian with Greek? Well, hummus is not necessarily Greek. It kind of comes from that whole area of the world, and Indians eat it too. So that's why. And dal isn't just Indian. It's kind of like all that area of Asia. So it's kind of, it just kind of all comes together. And I'm going to turn this down a bit just to a simmer. And if you really think about it, I mean, Greek and Indian foods actually have quite a few flavors in common. A lot of sour, stuff like that. A lot of dairy. Garlic. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 cloves of garlic in here. Put the juice from 1 lemon. Again, lemons, don't cut them this way. Cut them this way, you get way more juice. And again, that's off center. It's not right down the middle. Yeah, Steve says that he can't believe I let her use my new toy. And the thing about it is that I wanted her to use it because I love her, but I kind of wish that I hadn't have let her.
They hadn't loved you?
Hadn't have let you. Okay, so again, we're going to put the rest of the lemon in here. Squeeze that all in. Make sure not to get any seeds in here. I'm going to take a second and give this a stir. If it's boiling too vigorously, turn it down a bit more, because we really just want this to simmer. Okay, next thing we're going to add in here is some tahini. So this is chickpea paste. What? Sesame, thank you, wife. Sesame paste. See, Steve, that's why I let her use it, because she corrects me when I need to be corrected. This is just like peanut butter, but it's made with sesame seeds, right? So it's just pureed, a little bit of oil. If you don't have tahini, and I actually had a hard time finding it today, I had to go to 3 different grocery stores. You could use a bit of peanut butter. You could use a bit of almond butter, any kind of nut butter like that. And I'm just going to put 1 nice teaspoon in here. If you do get tahini, make sure you stir it very, very well. Make sure you scrape the bottom, because what will happen is it'll separate and you'll get this thick paste at the bottom that is really hard to get through. And then you'll use it for like a couple of months, and then you'll come back to it, and all will be left is this thick paste that you can't get into. So make sure you stir it very, very well. Next, we're going to add a really nice big amount of olive oil, probably about 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil, just to make this nice and creamy. And add a bit of salt. And nice big pinch of cumin. Okay, so the only other thing I add in here is just a bit of water, but I only add it as I need it. So I have some water handy. I like a really smooth, creamy hummus. I know some people like it a little chunkier. I'm going to make mine really smooth and creamy. You make yours however you like. It's going to get loud for a second. Give it a taste. Tastes good, but I'm going to let it go for another minute. Done. So that's hummus done. That's rice done. Now I just need to chop some vegetables, and by the time I'm done that, I think the dal will be done as well. So let me just take a second, clean up. And Sue says that she usually adds roasted red peppers to her hummus. Yeah, that's delicious. I know a lot of people that add, you can add, I've seen people add beets to it, I've seen chipotle, I've seen all kinds of things. I mean, do whatever you want, really. It's hummus, right? It makes a really good base for things because it has such a fairly mild flavor. say you want to throw some red peppers in there, go for it. I really like making it with roasted garlic instead of just plain garlic. Gives it like this tiny little bit of sweetness. Yeah, you do you, for sure. Okay. Spatula. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this apart. So like I said, I like really smooth, creamy hummus. Some people will thicker. Completely up to you. Yeah. I wish that I could eat pita bread because I would totally be dipping pita bread in this right now, but I can't. But you can, and I would highly recommend that. Okay, so there's hummus. Get this out of the way. Have a sip of water. Now let's take a look at our dal really quickly. So it's simmering away. It's already getting thicker as the lentils absorb the liquid and get bigger. It smells absolutely amazing. I'm super excited. So the first time I ever had this, I was actually working in a vegan restaurant. I didn't work there for long, but my sister worked there as the kitchen manager, and I went in to help her out for a few weeks. It was kind of like a second job for me. And there was a few things on the menu that I absolutely loved. This was one of them. Another one was black bean soup. They had really good spelt bread. But I never wrote the recipes down. For whatever reason, I didn't steal the recipes. So it took me a long time to kind of get this recipe together and get it to where I liked it. But it's pretty close to what I had there, and I would really, really love it. It's very delicious, and I'm very excited for those of you making it, for those of you making it in the future. I'm really excited for you to try it because it really is one of my favorites. And I think I say that about a lot of things, but I just love food, guys. You know, is that surprising? Does that surprise anybody? Okay, so I'm going to make some carrot sticks and some celery sticks to go with the hummus. So again, we'll just peel. Might as well do two. Anybody see that catch? Tell me somebody saw that catch. And again, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try and get all of the Dinner with Ben recipes up on my website, chefbenkelly.com. I'm going to try, but I'm also really busy the next couple of weeks, so I will do it as soon as I can, but I'm not making any promises as to when that will be up. But I can say that all the videos are on YouTube now. So if you want to go back and watch one, you can watch it on Facebook here, or you can watch it on YouTube. Okay, carrot sticks. I feel like you all know how to make carrot sticks. Just like when we were dicing the carrot, make a flat edge, right? Make it as safe to cut as possible. And then we cut some sticks. Just like so. Ooh, guys. I'm very excited. And with this, like having some, nice pita bread, some Greek pita, something like that to dip in this, some naan bread, super delicious. Really, really good. But we're going to have it with rice and a little bit of yogurt. Soon as we're done cutting vegetables. Does anybody have any questions while I'm just standing here dicing up carrot sticks and celery sticks? Because this would be a good time to ask them. Interesting fact about carrots. Yes, that is something that I say. They are not naturally orange. Bet you didn't know that. They are naturally purple and red and white, but not orange.
Please elaborate.
No, that's it. That's all you get. They're actually kind of genetically modified to look this way, like the earliest form of genetic modification. The story goes, there's a few different stories, but the main one is that they were actually bred to look this way by the Dutch to celebrate, I can't remember, some big celebration for the king. And they wanted orange carrots, so that's what they did. And carrots have been orange ever since. But in the wild, they are purple, white, red, but never ever orange. I really want to say a bad joke, but I'm not going to. But I really want to. Orange, you're glad you know that now? Wife? Guys?
Even the cat looks
Oh, come on. I couldn't, it just came out. Orange, you're glad you know that now. Okay, we got sticks for days.
Did you tell the hummus story before?
What hummus story?
I think you did. Or I remember hearing a story about hummus and like the countries having
Oh, yeah.
cook off and who could make
Yeah, that's good, actually. So, there is some kind of confusion. I actually forgot about this. Thank you for bringing that up. There's some kind of confusion about where hummus originates. It's not Greece. It's either Israel or Lebanon. Israel? I think it's Israel and Lebanon. It might be Turkey and Lebanon. It doesn't really matter. But a couple of years ago, and this is completely true, you can fact check me on it, you can look it up, it is true, I checked it. Because they were struggling to figure out who actually invented hummus, these two countries kind of had a bit of a hummus war, where I think Lebanon started it, where they made the biggest plate of hummus ever, and they got it checked by the Guinness Book of World Records, and they got the record. And then shortly thereafter, Israel, I think, or Turkey, whichever one, outdid them by making the next biggest plate of hummus. And then Lebanon made one that was as many feet in diameter as the diameter of Lebanon. So I think it was like, Lebanon is like 33,000 kilometers or something, whatever it is, right? So they made a 33,000 pound plate of hummus, like something ridiculous, just like completely blew the other country out of the water, just as like a big FU. But it doesn't prove who invented hummus, it just proves which country is crazy enough to make a bigger plate of hummus. But I thought it was really interesting. And thank you, Suze, for reminding me of that. Seriously though, Google it, the Hummus Wars. Not making it up. And it really wasn't that long ago. It was like 5-6 years ago. Okay, so this is getting really, really thick now, as you can see. And as this sits, like as you put it in your fridge and it sits for a couple of days, it's going to get thicker, but the flavors are going to come out of it a lot more too. So all I want to do is check, see if the lentils are done. They still need another minute or two. Check the seasoning, needs a touch more salt. But other than that, the flavor is beautiful. It is definitely a little spicy because I put in a lot of the Kashmiri chili, but I really like it like that. But you guys do whatever you'd like, right? Like don't go too crazy. Hummus, delicious. Okay, I'm gonna grab yogurt out of the fridge. Which is easier than it sounds. It involves moving lights and kind of maneuvering my body around this place, but that's okay. I have Greek yogurt here. It has a nice texture. It's nice and thick. But you can use any kind of yogurt you want. I just find the yogurt, has a bit of a cooling effect. So if you put a little too much spice in it, you can use the yogurt to kind of calm that down. But it also adds a little bit of acidity, a little bit of brightness to the flavor, which I find helps a lot. So you don't have to have yogurt with it, but I really like how it balances it out. Yeah. So we're just going to wait a second for those to finish. In the meantime, I can plate up some rice, get some hummus and veggies together. I'm just going to dirty every spoon in my house. This these around here. Okay, and I mean, if you want to get fancy, you can take a bit of paprika, kind of over the top. And pop an olive right in the middle of there. I don't actually have any olives, I don't think. So I'm not going to do that, but there you go. There's our hummus with veggies. Okay. These guys again. They're good. They're good to go. Turn that off. Rice a little. I'm assuming you're hungry. Yeah. And now you can see that this is really thick now. It's super delicious. Beautiful. We'll set that aside. Nice little dollop of yogurt on there. And if you want, you can add some chopped green onions. I'm actually not, but you can if you'd like. And so there we have dal with rice and yogurt. And again, so this, I think she's a very lucky girl, Sue. She doesn't always think so, but I do. So how we made this, forgetting the onions, carrot, and celery, but sauteing the ginger and garlic in a decent amount of oil, then adding the spices and sauteing those out to bring the flavors out, and then adding that bit of tomato paste. That's the base of a lot of curries. And so if you want to get really, really good at curry, practice that, because that's the foundation of a lot of Indian flavors. Okay, so again, it's that ginger and garlic. Add some fresh chili in there if you want, and saute that with the ginger and garlic. Then you add your spices, and make sure you have enough oil in the pan. It doesn't have to be tons, but you want enough so that the spices don't immediately just dry up all that oil. And then add some tomato paste and cook that out. Add a touch of water if you need to kind of loosen it up. But other than that, that is the basis of a lot of curries. Like a lot, like buttered chicken, korma, like all kinds of stuff. So get that down, and then you're kind of set on curry. Okay, so this again has been dal with hummus and veggies. This was brought to you by Ashworks Cutting Boards and T North Carbonated Iced Tea. I am Chef Ben. This has been episode 14 of Dinner with Ben. I can't believe we've been doing this for 14 weeks now. I'll be back next week. I don't remember what I'm making, but I have figured it out. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and for those of you cooking at home, thank you, and I hope that you enjoy the meal. I'd love to see pictures of it. I would love to see them. Yeah, everybody, thanks so much. See you next week.